What is up, Sunday Ballers? It is Sunday morning on April 19th. We're just hanging out at the place, waiting for the Sixers Celtics game to start, first round of the NBA playoffs. But I wanted to hop on this morning to talk about a trade that went down last night, trade that meant a lot to me, as well as anyone else in the Giants fandom, and really made waves around the NFL, dealing one of the best defensive linemen, if not the best D lineman, at least interior D lineman in the NFL, and that would be Dexter Lawrence. Also, my favorite personal player. Man, he is sexy. And it's going to be a shame to see him go, but the Bengals have traded for him, if you haven't heard, for the 10 overall pick. And that's an interesting pick because there's so many players in the NFL draft this year that fall within that 10 range that could be there at that spot. It's a very valuable pick, so I'm very happy the Giants got that. Harbaugh, or seems like he knows what he's doing. Scares me a little bit. Showing as well. But frankly, for Xavier McKinney and Saquon, they left and we didn't get a dime for them. So to get a first round pick, especially number 10, means a lot and at least helps this settle in my stomach a little bit. But to talk about Dexter Lawrence, he's gone, and like I said, he is so sexy. And in 2024, the year before last year, he had 9 sacks. He has the highest double team rate in the whole NFL at a little over 53.2%. And that's a crazy number. He blows anyone else out of the water. And that shows how much that he not just interrupts the offensive line, but brings up the level of his defensive line group. He makes everyone's lives so much easier. You can look up Brian Burns' quotes on it about how much easier he makes lives, how much better he makes a group. And that's what the Bengals are getting here. And I think that's why they made this trade, was that they haven't had a good history of drafting. And you can bring in a bona fide top three guy that brings up your bottom 10 level group. They were the ninth ranked unit towards the end in pass rush rate last year, pass rush succession. And he is going to bring up that group into, I could see the Bengals D line at a middle of the pack to borderline top 10 group, and that means a lot. And Dex does make that impact. I mean, if you pull up his stats, he's been multiple time All Pro. He has, yeah, oh my God. I mean, it makes me upset because of how much I really do love Dexter Lawrence. At 2022, 68 total tackles, 35 solo tackles, 7.5 sacks. Just a game wrecker. Oh my God, just a game wrecker. And 10 tackles for loss. That's gross. He's like a better version of Pot Roast from years back, but man, he is special. And the Bengals really got a special player here, and it's going to be tough to see him go, especially getting him in a pick that was originally from the Odell Beckham draft, the number 17 pick, no, Odell Beckham trade. And it was tough to trade away Odell at the time, but getting that much of an impact player who at his peak was just with Aaron Donald and Chris Jones as the best defensive lineman in the NFL, and I believe he's still at that peak. It's going to be sad to see him go, but in turn, we got the 10 overall pick, which is a big pick, honestly. And if we stay there, there's a lot of different prospects that would be available there that we could maybe take a pick on, take a chance on. First, we talk about having a lineman, so Francis Muaga or Spencer Fano. I think that would be interesting. And I think if they keep this pick and have the 5 and the 10, one of those picks they want a defensive player, probably number 5, and then number 10 would look more like a lineman. That would be my personal projection. It seems like we could use the help with question marks still on the offensive line. I know we brought back Illuminor. I know AT's still playing. We brought back Evan Neal on the what $0 guaranteed contract. He works at Dollar Tree. But a lineman here would make a lot of sense. And if we don't go lineman, Sonny Styles might be here sitting at the 10. I think he'll be gone by then. Same thing with Ruben Bain, that he's the next person that I'm going to talk about. But if he is there, I've talked about it on previous podcasts, but this is a mini-sode, so we're not gonna. I don't expect you to have listened 2 weeks ago. But he is a freak. He is a superstar in the physicals, superstar in the potential. I mean, it's clear he's 6'5". He plays like Anthony Edwards. That's it. That's his comp, which is crazy. and he could be in the right program, getting the right coaching. He could develop and gain some more physical attributes, like real intangible skills, running through tackles, quick breakdowns, and full wrap ups instead of just using his talent. Like I've said, he has the curse of the gifted, so he is so good that he almost doesn't put in as much effort as somebody like a Jacob Rodriguez. But also there, like I talked about Ruben Bain, he's a guy that probably would be gone by then, but there's a chance that he slips. He could be one of those guys that is slippery. And if you want to reinstate the D line because you just traded away Dexter Lawrence, that's might be the guy. I think he's this trade makes me broke up a little bit on the inside because on one hand, I'm happy to get the number 10 pick. That's a good pick, but Dexter Lawrence was such a difference maker on this defensive line. And to talk about replacing him with a guy like Ruben Bain just makes me a little upset because of how much of a difference that there is between the two players. That I'd rather Aaron Donald come out of retirement and sign him than draft Ruben Bain for the same value. That's neither here nor there. It makes me worked up on the inside. Joe Schoen is not welcome in this house, but we could also maybe have the potential to draft Julian Love there if there is a slide. I don't think there will be, but if there is a slide and he gets to 10, you can take Julian Love there. I would never take him top five. The value isn't there for a running back, but if you can get him at 10, a guy that is talked about generational top five running back in the last 10 years, yeah, I would pick him there. Also, two main players that we've talked about a little bit on the pod that I do think would fit perfectly right here. The first is what I would do here, and the second is what I think they will do if they don't go lineman. So, first of all, I think they should go Mansour Delane here. He's the best cornerback in the draft. He has crazy talent. He has crazy movement skills. He's a pretty hard hitter for his size. He is a blanket or a shadow in coverage. He can stick onto a guy. I love Mansour Delane. And he shuts down a whole side of the field, especially that's what, at least what he did in college. So he would be my pick there. But I think the Giants and specifically Harbaugh would love to go with Jordan Tyson. He's only been to two pro days this whole year. And the one was for Ohio State, which is, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, the whole 9 yards, maybe any of their linemen. Maybe Caden McDonald, a guy that possibly could be talked about. We'll talk about it in a second. We'll get there. But if not, Jordan Tyson, they went to or Arizona State's pro day. He's the one real prospect coming out of Arizona State this year, so he is the guy. And I kind of like his fit in this offense. He is that big body receiver, and he's not the biggest dude in the world. He's only 6'2", but he is that big body you can put next to Malik, especially with having Calvin Austin and having Darnell Mooney. Those aren't big guys either. So he would be a guy to take here, and he does have number one potential or number two next to Malik. I'd be really happy about that. So whoever we go with there, you really can't go wrong any of those guys. If we go off the beaten path and we even take Ione or we take Banks or it's a little bit of a getting ahead of ourselves. We take Jamal McCoy. I'd still be happy about it, but there is a trade in place here, and that is to the Cowboys or the Chiefs teams, or maybe even other teams, but those two teams specifically have two first round picks. So what that tells me is maybe trading away the fifth pick. We are in prime position at the five, especially because no one we love, and especially how they keep talking about there's so many different players they love there. Sounds like a little bit of smoke, and when there's smoke, there's usually fire. So if we could get two first rounders and then drop back, take a guy like Caden McDonald, take a guy like Jerron McCoy, take a guy like Caleb Banks, take a guy like Peter Woods, take a guy like Dylan Thieneman, or really any of those guys, Caden Proctor. You could go down the list, and there's so many value players in this first round, I believe, that we could get and really make a difference on our team and have three first round picks that would make a big deal with the contracts. And then maybe, hopefully, we would dip into free agency that's still available. We now have the cap space, but we have the cap space because we let go of Dexter Lawrence. And that makes me kind of sad, but to talk about his impact on this Bengals D line, Trey Hendrickson's gone, and he was a difference maker on this D line. And I wouldn't have gave him the money the Ravens gave him, but he was a difference maker. And now to drop Dexter Lawrence onto a team with they're really it's only Joseph Osai and Miles Murphy, the returners from last year, and they're not uber productive. There was no real production. Like I said, they had the ninth worst sack rate in the league, pass rush rate. And he's going to make a huge difference. And don't be surprised if he raises that group to top 15. Genuinely, he's that good. And when Dexter Lawrence is playing at his level, he is a draw for doubles. Over half the time, 53%, gets double teamed. That's insane. That's the highest in the NFL. That's higher than Aaron Donald used to get. And that means a lot because football's an 11 and 11 game. And when you make it, 10 on 9, that's very beneficial. That can make a huge difference. But I guess this is time. It makes me sad to even have to get to this, but Dexter Lawrence, thank you for your service in New York. You are my favorite defensive lineman of all time, hands down. I love JPP. I love Matthias. I love Strahan. I love Tuck. But you are my favorite, and it's going to be sad to see you go. And I hope you keep the production up. I hope you make a difference on that Bengals D line. God knows they need you to. And I hate that I have to put my faith in Joe Schoen to draft a good player at the number 10, and I hope he does. But Dexter Lawrence, thank you for your service. Have a good Sunday, guys.